Hi friends, Father Carey here, pastor of Holy Spirit American National Catholic Church. This is another life lesson from the ancients. This one, a lesson from the Greek poet Homer. Homer, of course, is the author of the two greatest classics of Western literature, the Iliad on the one hand and the Odyssey on the other. Scholars tell us that probably these two epics were composed by more than one person, but let's just follow the convention and ascribe them to Homer. The Iliad is an epic which recounts the 10-year siege of Troy by Greeks, and the Odyssey is the epic that recounts the 10-year attempt on the part of Odysseus to return to his home in Ithaca. Apparently, he angered the gods because of his ruse, because of the wooden horse deceptiveness, which led to the downfall of Troy, and so he was condemned to spend as many years on the wine-dark sea trying to make his way home as he spent before the walls of proud Troy. The Odyssey and the Iliad were probably composed sometime between the 7th and the 6th centuries BC, and that, my friends, puts them at the beginning of what the philosopher Karl Jaspers calls the axial age, that age in which human consciousness exploded, that pivotal or axial point in human history in which human beings began to think about themselves, what it means to be a human being, what it means to possess a self, what it means to be in moral relationship with others, what it means to be in moral relationship with a God. And so we're going to find the hints of these questions throughout these two epics, but particularly in the Odyssey. And I'd like to point out one parable in the Odyssey that I think is particularly pertinent to our own day and time. You'll find it in the middle of Book 9 of the Odyssey. The story very briefly is this. Odysseus and his men have been caught in a horrible 9-day and night storm on the sea. They are completely disoriented and they finally find themselves at an island. Needing to resupply water and food, Odysseus sends a reconnoitering crew to the island, and they discover quite quickly that this is the Isle of the Lotus Eaters. And the lotus is a fruit which has a soporific quality. Whoever eats of the lotus forgets his or her deepest longings, forgets home, forgets everything that makes him or her a person who values journeying and growth and progress. All a person who eats of the lotus wants to do is to lie down under the lotus tree and forget. Odysseus immediately recognizes that his own men that he sent out to the island who have eaten of the fruit are in grave danger. So he has another team grab them, bind them, carry them forcibly back to the ship, and he immediately leaves this dangerous island. And dangerous it is. You and I remember tales of the Cyclops, Polyphemus, or of Circe, the witch who turns men into swine, or of Sirens, these captivating creatures who rest on rocks in the sea and lure sailors to their death with beautiful song. But those threats are nothing compared to the threat of Lotus. And why is that? Well, Homer seems to have the intuition that the worst thing you and I can do is to go through life in a soporific way, is to go through life spiritually sleepwalking. We can become so distracted by any number of pleasures or by any number of worries, for that matter, that we begin to forget who we are and what will bring us contentment, enrichment, fulfillment. When that happens, we sleepwalk our way through life, not noticing what we should be noticing, not looking at ourselves and the world with the clarity of vision which that kind of existence requires. To put it in slightly different terms, to sleepwalk one's way through life, to eat of the fruit of the lotus, is to forego mindfulness. And mindfulness is a necessary condition for not only being a full human being, but also for being a good human being. At one point in this description of the Lotus Eaters, Homer says something I think really quite telling. He says that Odysseus' men who ate of the fruit forgot about home. Forgot is a very important word here, it seems to me. One of the Greek words for truth is aletheia, and aletheia is a compound word that literally means unforgetting. Whenever you and I forget, we move away from the truth. Whenever you and I forget, we somehow are able to be easily confused about what's true and what's false, about what's good and what's evil, about the proper way in which we should conduct ourselves and the improper way, about where our true home is and where it most definitely is not. So when Homer tells us that Odysseus' men forgot home, what he's telling us is that in their sleepwalking, in their soporific desire to lay down the burdens of human existence and to lay down the responsibilities of human existence, they forgot where they belonged. They forgot everything that gave them the identity which they had. That's a terrible, terrible fate. So Homer's Odyssey, it seems to me, in general, and in this parable in Book 9 in particular, is a catechism, if you will, for those of us today who read it on how to lead good lives. It is the case that, like Odysseus, we have to journey our way through the years, trying to get home. But we can only do that if we remember who we are and what our destination is. We can only do that if we unforget. And we can only unforget if we avoid the soporific qualities, the sleepwalking qualities of all of the various kinds of lotus fruits which culture tries to entice us with. More life lessons from the ancients, my friends, will follow. For now, I'm Father Carey. Thank you. I invite you to subscribe if you are of a mind to do so. And above all, read the ancients. They offer us a cornucopia of wisdom. I'll see you soon.